Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Nikita Antoine and today I will be doing a reading for the sign of Cancer. Cancer, I've done your reading with my Ethereal Visions and Dreamscape Oracle. So you'll be seeing both of those decks in your spread today. As you can see, I am still at a different location, so you might be hearing like some doggos in the background. They're sitting very nicely and quietly right now, so hopefully that will stay that way. But as always, of course, you know, all of my readings are timeless, so whenever the message finds you and it resonates, it's yours at the time in which you find it. So there's kind of been a lot of chaos energy here. I've been trying and attempting to do this reading multiple times, and I kind of have like, I don't know, you know, just things happen and you gotta start over basically. So that's like so prevalent in your reading right now, because it seems to me that you are like sending out a smoke signal or some type of signal that you're trying to get someone's attention or bring their awareness to your, it's coming across as like your location. So at the bottom of the deck, we had the Hermit. And the Hermit is coming out as like the person that you're sending the signal to. Or, you know, it's really interesting because it's, I don't know which side of like the equation you're on with this one, Cancer. Either you are sending out a signal or someone else is sending out a signal to you. Because the Hermit can kind of go both ways. The Hermit can be trying to find something, and in that sense is receiving a signal and then moving into that location. Or the Hermit is standing still and the light is the one that is, you know, the lantern is the one that, he's the one that's sending out the signals, basically what I'm trying to say. So I don't know exactly which one you're presenting as. I feel as though the Hermit here is presenting as the other person. You know, actually it kind of doesn't super matter because you're both doing it in a sense. You're both like sending signals out to each other so that you both can like, it's interesting. Okay, hang on a second. So yeah, it's like you're both sending out signals to each other in the hopes that they'll, you know, you like a meeting will happen. All right. And then on the split, we had I was gonna say the Anchor. It's the Emperor. And in yesterday's reading, the Leo reading, the Emperor was talking about anchoring, like the anchor point. It was talking about like growing down, which is speaking of kind of like how, you know, that thought process of spiritual awakening is actually more about grounding and less about getting up and out of your body type of idea. So this is talking here about like both parties or you yourself are sending signals out to the other for it's like it's coming across as like the perfect anchor point, and is almost presenting as, you know, because we had the wave that was coming up and all of that moon energy that's been talked about lately. It's like kind of like putting your flag in the ground and like claiming a space as your specific anchor point. So I'm seeing with this, so the first card in your reading today is the Well, and this is presenting as you. And initially I was kind of questioning about that wave. Like, is that wave still here in the background for you, or has it already passed? And I'm sensing that the wave it's on its approach. And because it is still on its approach, there's kind of like an open space for you to be able to send out this signal, because of course once the wave comes through, it's like the wave is blocking any of the perception of the signal that you're sending out. So because the wave hasn't quite yet come to you, there's an open space for you to send out this signal. And with the sun that is following next, it's coming across as like mirrors. So utilizing, it's talking about, so this is the the mechanism of the signal, if you will. So it's speaking of utilizing the sun's energy and angling it in such a way that it causes I don't even know what you call that, like a light flicker. You know, like when you take a mirror or something that is mirror-like, if you will, and then you tilt it towards the sun, and you can use this, it is I don't know, I want to say reflection, but it's not reflection, it's like a refraction. I don't know, I feel like it's refraction. Yeah, and so it's like there's something having to be like this signal that is going out. You're having to tilt it in such a way that it reaches what you're trying to light up, right? And what you're trying to light up is the actual anchor point. And I was noticing this earlier when I put these two together, you and perhaps another individual that you're trying to make this signal to, they're both looking in the same direction, which is kind of making me feel like they're, sorry, the dogs. It's kind of making me feel like you guys are right next to each other, because if he was pointed the other way, it would kind of come up as the two were meeting, but it's like you're right next to each other and can't quite see that the anchor point it's literally right there, because I'm seeing if we have this thing that needs to be, tilted in such a way, if the signal is coming from one of you and hitting off of this, depending on its angle, right? It's kind of coming up as things are objects in the mirror are a lot closer than they seem to be, type of thing, because the angle it's more near to you than you think it is. Okay, so when I'm looking at this sun card and we're speaking of these anchors, see, this is why I'm kind of a little tripping up, because it's almost like you're signaling it to yourself, but then you're also signaling it to others. So we could be talking about like creating it like your higher self, not higher self, your like okay, here we go. Because the well talks about like a family tree, the well of your consciousness, if you will, in this family tree. So we're perhaps speaking of like an oversoul energy. Even with the sun, it's like there's like an oversoul energy that is looking over these different like pieces of themselves. I was gonna describe them as avatars, but it's like the different pieces of themselves. And what is occurring here is that as your oversoul is sending out a signal, it's illuminating multiple different anchor points. So this action is like, it's illuminating all of these different anchor points in which, all of the emperors, okay, now we're getting into something a lot bigger, because if you've been watching the channel for a while, for like, I guess like a couple months or so, in a couple of the previous videos, I've been talking about like the divine masculine or just the masculine energy going through like an awakening, if you will. So this is, okay, it's now stepping out. It's interesting because it's like kind of like fractaling outward. So now it's becoming even bigger, and now there are multiple anchor points, and what it's doing is it's causing the masculine energy to come out of this hermit mode and anchor themselves into places in which they can receive this wave that is coming through. The wave that is coming through with the moon energy, which is showing in your next card that's coming up. So that wave, the wave that is coming, it's causing a lot of it's causing like, I'm seeing it as like crown openings, because when the anchor points have been firmly planted into, right, now what can happen is it's literally like a plant. So it's like they're planting themselves into the sea floor and then growing up like lotus, and so I'm seeing it's like all of these like little seeds, right, have been planted, and then the water comes through. That wave that has been approaching for a while is finally coming through, and it has, this energy here. I'm questioning whether, because we were talking about illuminating, like using the sun to illuminate those anchor points. It's like when the sun isn't there, those anchor points like can't be illuminated. It's something about the reflection. There's some type of like reflection that is happening, like, because right, the moon is reflecting the sun's energy. So makes me feel like those anchor points are not seen, at least presently at this time. Right now we're going through the new moon in Virgo. Yeah. So these anchor points, see this new moon in Virgo. So these anchor points are going to be illuminated. I want to say at the full moon, because that's when that's when that reflection can happen. You see what I'm saying? Like the light of the sun can be reflected off of it, and it can illuminate the anchor points in the darkness. And that's what this energy is speaking of. And once, you know, that's so interesting, because they always say to like plant your seeds in the dark. And I can't remember if it's either on the new moon or on the full moon. Is it on I can't remember where you plant. Anyways, that's beside the point. What it's talking about is that those anchor points are going to be presented when the illumination of the moon. So when those anchor points are presented, and then that wave comes through, because the full moon also brings in the wave, right? The tides are lifted. See, it's the timing. Do you see? There's something in the timing. I feel like I'm trying to fit a lot of information in a small amount of time, but it's like the concern with the timing is not necessary. The like main present thing that is of concern right now is the anchoring. So, all of that being said, we have we're ending your reading off with the three of cups. And I'm wanting to say that this is like after that wave has come through, because look down here at the bottom, we're seeing these lilies, these lily pads that are starting to form at the surface of the water. So, hang on, I lost my train of thought. And we're also seeing that their crowns now carry that illumination as well. It's interesting. It's like all of my, it's like almost like gone like very silent, which is kind of like opposite of this energy. So that silence, the silence that I'm feeling right now is really significant of the like that anchoring part. So when the anchoring happens, there's the silence that's like in the silence in the water, if you will, because you can't perceive what is happening above the water or outside of the realm or the atmosphere that you're in presently, because you're presently in that growing process, right? So it's only until you come up to the surface and like the leaves are spread over the top of the surface, like the lotus, if you will, and then you can hear this sound. The sound, and now it's like that's when you can hear the sound, because they're singing, right? So now I'm going back to this well, And I'm starting to question, is the signal coming from high ground? If it's coming from a high ground, meaning like kind of like how we were talking earlier, like higher self or oversoul. I don't even know if like an oversoul of the masculine energy, is that like a thing or not? I don't know. But it's talking about like that is when that is when you receive the full signal, because it's like there's multiple signals happening at the same time. There's one that's telling you that is essentially lighting up the anchoring point, right? You get in there, and then there's like a second signal that's coming. There's like because I'm seeing all of the smoke here, like wrapping around these three. So there's another signal that is like at a higher elevation, which is literally what we were just talking about, this higher elevation, because the smoke here is like dense. So when that signal comes out, it is able to like go down into the lower realms. And then that's when they find the anchor point, right? Find the anchor point, and then you grow up. And then because now the crown is opened up to a higher realm, that it's like if you are in a lower density and you're receiving like clairaudient messages, right? Because you are in a lower density, there's a distortion that is happening. So this is almost like promoting you to create that anchor place so that you can move yourself out of the distortion, so that you can hear more clearly, is what it's speaking of. Wow. So it sounds like this wave that is coming through that I've been seeing has been talking a lot about awakening. It's an awakening wave. And for you, Cancer, it seems to be presenting as like a clairaudient. There's a lot of water here, but that's more, but it's talking about there's like the sound. It's like singing, or like even this wave can be like the receiving of new gifts. So it can be anything that it has to do with sound. I don't know what else it is, but yeah. Okay, Cancer, thank you so much for joining me in this reading. I think I'm gonna pull some extra cards, and just to get kind of a closer look at what this clairaudient thing is. And then if you want to join me for that, you'll see the next video will be posted for, I guess, part 2 of the Cancer reading. Okay? All right, see you next time.